This morning, oh man, we had a powerful breakfast section. Oh, you should have been there. It was a nice section with Dr. Emma and Dr. George, brother and sister tag team, and they do it so well too. Yes, yes, yes. So we are so thrilled to have them here in the house, and we want to thank Prestige Healthcare for just providing this beautiful, beautiful event for us today. So without further ado, I am going to bring up the owner and founder, John Smith of Prestige Healthcare. Round of applause, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Very good. My name is John Smith. You may say that's a very common name, right?
Yeah.
But it's unique because I have a middle name that is called Saye, S-A-Y-E. You know what that means?
No.
That means the firstborn and first to get to the top and to try. That is what Saye means. Okay? So, a little bit of background about me. I'm a nurse by trade. Like, what is men doing for being a nurse? That's a long story for another time. So what we do, we provide in-home care services for seniors in the Washington metro area. And for the past 7 years, we've provided home care services for over 1,000 residents in the District of Columbia and Maryland as well. We help this one to thrive at their own home, making sure that they live comfortable and confident in where they call home. And you can ask them, what is my why? Why is it that I get into this business? How do I get into this industry? And this went all the way back to 2001, when I got a calling of being a nurse, when I got a calling to make a difference in people's life. And that does happen in December 2001 when I had an accident at work. So during that time when I was in the hospital, all by myself, no family, no friends, nobody. And they gave me this bunch of papers up to 200 pages to sign. And I'm like, I don't even know what I'm signing. They say, well, if you don't sign it, then forget it. And I did not want to lose my thumb that actually I got injured with. That took my left hand and signed all these documents without even knowing what I was doing. And that was my calling. And that was when I know that I need to make changes. I need to give back. I need to be that voice to the voiceless people. And to be that voice for those who cannot even help themselves. Those who cannot even assist and care for themselves. So during our journey of starting Prestige in 2009, we've seen so many business owners like you in the audience who are striving, who are struggling, and who want to make difference in people's life. And you all know that as a business owner, it's hard out there. It's not easy, is it? No, because if it's easy, anyone will be doing it. So that's why we decided to come on and share our experience, what we've experienced since we started business. What get us to where we are from now, from just 2 employees to over 50 employees. To share their ideas, their secret to you all in the audience. So we decided to bring in to the house Emma Pennington and George Frazier so that they can share their experience with you all, so that you guys everybody can learn from that, be able to benefit from that. So another thing we're going to do, which is something that we want to share with the audience also, is what we do as a company. As I mentioned, we provide home care services for seniors. And I don't know about you, at some point in life, you're going to have someone to take care for you, right? We're going to get old, right? And we're going to need someone to take care of us.
Yes.
So what we want to do is to, if you know anybody who may benefit from in-home care services, let us know. We have some questionnaires that we are going to pass on the audience, and you're going to check it to see If you or you know somebody who could benefit from that, and you just put your information in there, and if you have any questions about caring for your loved ones at home, then we're going to be out there to make sure that we provide you the information you need. The second thing we also are providing or offering for those in the audience has to do with what we call a mastermind group. Has anyone been to one before, mastermind group? Okay, so if you have not been to one before, this is your chance to do that. Why is it that mastermind group works? Because the top 5% of successful business, that is what they do. That is how they are successful, because they have people that they depend on. They have people whom they rely on so that they can share their different ideas together. So we have information at the back table, and if you want to learn more about the mastermind group, how you want to join one, how to become one, we have in there, and we have a short list of 10 people that we would like to start with. And if you want to be top 10 or one of those top people to start that mastermind group, which of course is going to help you to leverage your business, which of course is going to help you to escalate your business to a different level, because we will be sharing ideas how to grow your business. We're going to share the idea of how to market and different things that you otherwise would never get from anywhere else. That is what that group is all about. So before you leave, make sure you check on the table and sign up your name, and make sure you be part of that group. So without further ado, I want to thank you all for coming out. I want to thank you all for sacrificing your precious time, especially on the weekend, on Saturday, with the nice, beautiful weather. You're coming out here to actually support us, to actually come in to invest on yourself, to come in to invest in your business. Because the best investment you can have is the investment you have on you. So if you cannot invest on yourself, who else is going to do that? So we thank you all for that. So I'm going to pass the mic on to Carrie so that she can introduce our speaker. Thank you very much.
Yes. Let's just give John another round of applause. He did a wonderful job of having him here. I had the pleasure of meeting John last year at the PNC. So George Frazier is known for the PNC, which is the Power Network Conference, and it is now here. And I must say, because of Peggy Mars, you know, I'm always putting you on the spot, our Sister for Sister Network president, she worked very hard to get the conference to be here in Prince George's County. It was been in the makings for like about 3-4 years. And as of last year, it was featured here last Memorial Day weekend. So now we'll be back in July from the 5th through the 8th. So I think the 6th through the 8th, but the 5th is the special day, George said at the breakfast. Yeah, the bonus day. So from the 5th through the 8th, they will be here, and we try to make this a permanent home. So no more moving around for the PNC. The PNC will stay here in the DMV. How about that? Yes. You like that? Apostle said he liked that. Yes. And it's great to see that some of the people that was at the private morning section that we had is here joining us now for the evening section. So we really appreciate you all spending the day with us. Okay, well, without further ado, we have a powerhouse coming to you. She is a powerhouse. Let me tell you, she can stand her grounds, and this morning she said, you know what, I don't care if I have to come behind my brother, and you all know him so well, because I can stand my own ground. I'm used to coming behind him. But right now, she's going to come before him. And please, without further ado, let's bring Dr. Emma Frazier into the stand. Yes, this is a wonderful lady. Get ready now and pull out your pads and ready to take some notes. And before she starts, we have to just say this. We are filming live, eLife Media. I forgot to say this part. So if you have 5 friends or 5 friends or family in your phone that couldn't come, but they want to take advantage of this moment before Emma starts speaking because they need to see her. Just text the letter E, lifemedia.net, and click on the front page, and they can see us live right now for the next 2 hours. They can get everything that we're getting right now. So again, just text them E, the letter E, lifemedia.net, and they can see us live right now. Okay? Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And it's really a pleasure to be here, but I have a small problem. Since I spoke extensively this morning with my brother George, and now I'm speaking in the same day, in the same county, to some people that were there this morning, it requires two things. One, I had to change my clothes. That was critical. And two, I have to change my jokes. That is part of the dynamics of being a speaker. So usually you're not in the same town for the whole day. So how many of you were there this morning? All right, yeah, I have to change my jokes. Okay. So I'm going to talk about, this whole event is about networking, team building. So in order to effectively build your team, there is a criteria that is absolutely necessary that most of us do not think about. So for the next 20 minutes, I am going to talk to you about a subject that you very seldom hear, but is critical to your success both personally, spiritually, and professionally. It is the power of no. Say that. The power of no. How to say no. Most of us think that no is a negative, but the power to say no is the most positive thing you can do, because it clears the avenue for you to say yes to the things that are beneficial to you, spiritually, emotionally, physically, and financially. Many of us have been running on crazy because we said yes to everything somebody said to us. Your family member wants you to do it. Every Christmas they call you, they want that fruitcake. Nobody eats it. But Aunt Delilah makes the fruitcake, and you say yes, and you know nobody eats it. And you're angry while you're making it, and all the expense of doing it, and you take that fruitcake to Christmas dinner, and in February you visit one of your relatives that was there, and you see that fruitcake in their refrigerator next to the one from the previous year. If you had said no, you said, well, Emma, it's just a fruitcake. But it's what it represents. It means you don't know how to move yourselves from situations that are not productive. If you can't say no to a fruitcake, then you will wind up being a nut job, because you will get many opportunities as an entrepreneur. When you're a new young entrepreneur like I was once, every time somebody asked you to speak, every time somebody wanted to sell you a program, you said, yes, I'm going to do that because I'm going to be smarter. What you found out after a couple of years is that what you were smart about was the things, and how many times have you turned to somebody and said, God, I wish I had said no. I knew something was wrong with this. I heard about this individual. I wish I hadn't put myself in this dilemma. How many opportunities or situations are you in because you would not say no? So let me establish how you say no, but first, why you say no. One, you say no to release yourself, to have the time to be active in the things that you really want to do. How many of you, by a raised hand, if your family members here and it involves them, just do this? How many of you are currently involved in activities or a situation that you should have said no to? I don't care how minor it is. Be brave and raise your hand. There's a bunch of people in here that won't tell the truth, Peggy. I didn't know in Prince George's County that people could sit in front of you and not raise their hand and tell the truth. Well, for those of you that did not raise your hand, that means you're twice as guilty as the people that were bringing up to raising. You are so overwhelmed that you can't even say yes to the fact that you didn't know how to say no. Okay, so you want to release yourself to have time to do what it is you need to do. The other reason you say no is it's not productive for you. Everything that everybody asks you is not productive. It's not your gift. You have no interest. You don't want to do it. It goes against the grain. But you said yes. You're going to make that fruitcake even though you know nobody eats it. I'm going to give you a real example. 4 years, I made this dessert called ambrosia. It's marshmallows with whipped cream. You whip it together. You put coconut and pineapples in it, and you sit it in the refrigerator overnight. I served that dish every Thanksgiving for about 350 years. But I noticed at the end of the dinner, the turkey would be decimated, the dressing would be gone, but it seemed like I had more of that dessert left than I even made. It didn't occur to me. Years went by. I would wind up eating it for the next 6 months because I figured I just made too much. Finally, my sons are grown, and you know when your children grow up, they start telling you the truth about yourself. We can't stand it. They feel brave enough. They're putting their key in their own door. If you ask them something, as they're backing out of your door, they'll tell you the truth. You know, Mom, that sofa is the ugliest thing. Bye, catch you later. I'm on a trip. Me and Maria are going away. So I said to my sons, we were laughing, but I said, you know, I miss making my ambrosia since your daddy died. They said to me, we don't miss it. I said, what? I made it every year, they said, and we hated it. Didn't you notice how nobody ate it? I said, why didn't somebody tell me? Well, we didn't want to hurt your feelings. Now, whose feelings are you not hurting? And you keep putting out the same thing, and you don't want to do it. And you figure, well, they're in my network, I have to be politically correct. Do you know people actually know when you're not sincere? They won't tell you. They say, you know, I asked Peggy to do something. She said, okay. She said, okay. And I knew she didn't really want to do it. You felt bad that she said yes when you know she should have said no. So, we don't do it because it's not in our venue. We don't want to do it. Even if we're good at it, we don't want to do it. The other thing is timing. What I might have been able to say yes to in January, the year is freed up. You come to me in June, I can't do it. And the person says, well, listen, Barbara, you always do this, and now we're going to have this conference and we want you to do it. And I am so grateful that this is your avenue of expertise. But you know your calendar is full. You know your mind is already clicking, my God, I'll have to miss Uncle John's funeral. I can't have a birthday party for my children. My dog has to go to the vet. Whatever's on your menu, on your agenda. But you don't feel you can say no. And you say yes. You say yes. You just made a stress situation. So how do you alleviate stress? You say no when you have to. So those are some of the criteria that you need for when you have to say no. How many of you in the last month have actually used the words no when somebody asks you something to do? Okay, give me an example. When did you say no?
It was a conflict for an affair I had to go to 2 weeks from now, and I said I just couldn't make it.
Okay, did the person try to twist your arms?
Yes.
And what did you respond?
No.
No. She said no. At least that's the story she's telling us in this room. Because we are live on Facebook and she may offend that person. Give me that no. Anybody else that said no that has a different situation? Yes.
Someone, their washing machine broke and they wanted to use my washing machine to wash their clothes. No.
Did it include underwear?
I would imagine it did. I don't know, because they didn't.
And they were serious and sincere. sincere when they asked you to do that?
Yes.
And so how did you say no?
I said no.
You just simply said no. You didn't couch it in any great term. You just said no.
I just said no.
And what did they say?
They walked away.
And took their underwear with them. Okay. So the point is, often, if you become a person that people feel you're a yes man, you'll say yes to anything, people will ask you the ridiculous because you gave them carte blanche. They will say things to you that you would not even believe, and you're insulted that they even asked, and the nerve of them, they want you to say yes. Now I'm going to give you an example. This might not have happened to anybody in here, but have you ever had a family member ask you for a loan? I know nobody in here had that. So, no, that doesn't happen in our race. But for the imaginary people, have you ever had a family member ask you for a loan? It goes something like this. Hello? Yes. Oh, Uncle Bubba. Yes. Listen, Emma. I got this problem. This is a predicament. Things are happening. And first of all, you can't figure out, but you know something. You know a big hit's coming. And the thing happened, and you see, I was talking to my sister, and then this thing happened, and what do you want, Uncle Bubba? Well, I need $500. For what? It's too complicated. It's too complicated. It's absolutely too complicated for me to share with you. You want my money, but it's too complicated for you to share with me. Well, I used to say yes to stuff like that. Now, I'm going to tell you how to avoid, because if you have family, you got problems. You really do. If you have a family, you got, the bigger the family, the bigger the problem. Practice on them, because your friends are not far behind them. So, I eventually, after I gave away enough money, and then people felt they had a right to it, call Emma. She'll give you some money. She won't ask you no questions. Call Emma. Then I would begin to say, how are you going to pay me back? What? But we family. We family. I know, but I had to work. Well, then there's that dead silence. So then the person gets really bold. Are you telling me no? You telling me no? I have no excuse that I want to give you. It's too complicated to get your money that you work hard for, and you're telling me no? The nerve of you! Then they're mad at you, and then they call somebody else. Who calls you? Hello? Oh, this is Uncle Bob. Yes. Bubba called me and said you won't loan him any money. He's in a dire situation. You said yes. That's what I said no. Then if you turn to them and say, well, I said no, but perhaps you would like to say yes. Then the phone gets silent, and that problem is over. So people will ask you to do for them what they won't do for somebody else. And they don't want to give you back the money, especially with family. So the situation is that a fool and his money is soon parted, and that's absolutely true. Remember how hard you worked for it. Remember that because it's in the bank, didn't mean it doesn't have your sweat on it. You just cleaned it up when you deposited it. So remember that. And here's the other thing. How you avoid giving unnecessary loans is do not talk your finances with family or friends. I mean it. I learned that the hard way. Do not talk when people want to know, oh no, I'm dealing with some situations. I'm not telling you to be broke, but don't act like you're prospering. Now, they can't help it if they see you with that Gucci bag, or you got on a fine suit, or they know that tie you had on cost $500. Don't even acknowledge it, because people cannot resist coming after other people's money. It's just natural. It's very few people that think they know somebody that's prosperous, this close, that they won't tackle. So you have to be very careful. Your money is a representation of all of your hard work and your labor. Remember that, because if you suddenly woke up tomorrow and did not have your capital, how happy happy would you be? How happy would you be if I loaned you my mortgage money and you don't pay me back? And you wake up and your mortgage is due tomorrow, you call Emma and you say, Emma, do you have my money? And I say, no. What's going to happen to you? You're going to be put out. You're going to be angry. And you're going to say what I said at the beginning. Why didn't I say no? So think about your money as this way. When you give people your money and there's no accountability for giving it back, think about it this way. This may help you. It's like somebody walking up to you and saying, can I have your tea? Would you give them your tea? Why? Why wouldn't you give somebody your tea? What if they were dentures? You could loan your rinse it off. You know why? Because it's vital to your success. Well, your teeth are vital, and so is your cash. Because where your eagle flies is where you will reside. Wow. So just remember that. Say that. Wherever your eagle flies, that's where you would reside. There's a story about money. There was a $100 bill, a $10 bill, and a $1 bill. The country that they were issued in put a ban on all paper money. Everything was going to be converted to coins. So the $100 bill said, listen, I had a great life. I had a great life. I went abroad. Enough of me got together. We flew on the Concorde. I don't have any complaints. $20 bill said, was $20 bill said, well, I've never been on the Concorde because, all of us got together. We couldn't get that amount together. But you know what? I've been on Amtrak. I've been across this country on Amtrak. And I've had a pretty good life. They turned to the dollar bill. They said, well, what about you, George? He said, I don't know. I ain't been nowhere but church. So my point is, how many of you got that? How many of you need to get therapy so you understand that? Okay, so the point is, your money is critical. So if you can say no around holding on to your revenue, other things can fall in place. If you can say no about lending out your time, do you know you will earn more money, but you can't get more time? So if somebody uses up your time because you said yes and you should have said no when it wasn't productive, you won't ever get that back. And here's the worst part. You get angry. And you operate out of a chaotic mind because I'm doing this and I don't really want to do this. Now, it doesn't mean we don't compromise at times. But there is a habitual habit. There is a whole series of books out about, now, I didn't make this up. I came up with it years ago because I was a yes person. And now, as soon as you think of something, do you know the universe is out producing it? Somebody wrote my book. I had the pain, they got the gain. Because I didn't write it. I said, you know what? I got to say no. So if that's what you want, so when do you say yes? After you've practiced saying no. After you've practiced saying no. If you want to go somewhere, you want to be somebody, you want to be about something, you want to do something, you have to value your time, your revenue, and your mental space. You cannot clog it up with all of these things. You ever see people, I'm so busy, I got to do this, and I got to do this, and half of the stuff they don't want to do. It's okay. Think about Jesus. Jesus got 12 guys because he knew they were going to be pulling on him. He got 12 guys to walk with him and protect him. And every so often, he went off to a secret place to meditate because the crowds would have been, if he would have stayed out 24/7, he would have been healing 24/7. Even Jesus said, though I may be the Son of God, this is my Christian faith, and I could just wave a hand and do it, that's not the way he chose to do his ministry. It wasn't productive for him, so he said no by what? By sequestering himself. If you make precious time for yourself, do not allow people to intrude. I work at home. My phone could ring all day long. I won't answer it because they will never give me peace. I'm going to get involved in their problems. So I have a time I don't answer the phone. People say, well, you never answer the phone. I said, I don't answer the phone during those hours. My answer is no by the fact that I'm unavailable. So once you get into the habit of knowing when to say yes and when to say no, the no will come automatically because you will absent yourself from accessibility. Don't be accessible to everyone just because they want you. It is not flattery. It's abuse. Oh, everybody wants me. My phone just rings all night and day. Check it out. You probably need a prescription medication for allowing that. Nobody should be busy 24/7, even the President of the United States. I'm not referring to the one we have now. I'm talking about Obama. What do you think Camp David is about? What do you think about the private airplane? Yes, it's security, but these men have to get away. You think they work 24/7? They would be mentally disturbed. Who are you? Do you like running on crazy? Does it feel good to get up in the morning? I gotta do this, and 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 it's gotta be done by 12 o'clock, and then I gotta go to this. We got a false sense of importance. We think busy means productive, when often it means that you are dysfunctional. Because you could not do what? Say no. Anybody in here have you ever had to absolutely go somewhere and talk yourself off of a ledge because you put yourself into situations that you could not say? Anybody ever do that? And I don't want people in here lying just because we're being videotaped. How many of you have ever put yourself into a situation and you are overwhelmed and you could have said no? Okay, this half of the room is much more truthful than this half of the room. I don't know what happened over here, but seriously, when this session is over, I want to meet you in the back because there's something about truth. You got to tell the truth. I can't help you if you lie on a video. So, as I bring this to a close, yes, I tried to make it humorous, but it's a very serious problem. Because take the word no and flip it. It's on. Are you on to your vulnerable activities? What is it about no, the t-shirt used to say, that you don't understand? And don't be subject to this. You say no, and then the person forces you to give them an explanation that's longer than the activity they wanted you to be involved in. They said, I just need an hour of your time, Peggy. You said, no, I really don't have it. And they spent 2 hours convincing you that you do have it, and you stood there. So stand your ground. Be strong. Be strong. It's okay to say no, because then you will know when it is appropriate to say yes, to lend your skills, your expertise, your knowledge, and a spirit that actually wants to do it. You're not doing anybody any favors by being involved in an activity that you don't like the person because they made you do it. You're looking at them, I'm going to shoot her later. Thank you so much for inviting me. Where is your youngest child so that I can do something to her? So that's hypocritical. And how many of us have ever been in a hypocritical situation, and that people that we liked, we let them abuse us because we didn't say no, and then a friendship breaks up. And they don't even know what they did because you said yes instead of saying no. If they're going to leave you because you said no, get the divorce papers, have them signed and ready. Because you don't need that kind of friendship. So the power of saying no will leave you the ability to say yes when it matters most, when you can walk in your purpose, understand your passion, and fulfill your destiny.
Do you have a question and answer now, or is that later?
Yes, we're going to have that right out shortly. Oh, wow.
Did I finish one time?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. That was wonderful, wonderful. You enjoy yourself so far? I tell you, we got some great speakers up in the house. This is just wonderful. She's a firecracker. That is your new name. You are a firecracker, okay? She is a powerful lady, and I'm just glad to just be in this moment. And we're just going to continue right on, and we'll get to a Q&A after we hear George Frazier speak as well. So I am just glad he's in the building. Look, our president is in the building. He is the president of PNC Network, and we love George. George just have a world of knowledge. And one thing he said, get it, people. He wants his people to get it. I love George, the way he delivered his message, and he said this morning, I'm not motivating. I don't want to motivate you. I just want to inspire you. If I can share my knowledge and share power, and we can share that knowledge and power together, then this is what it takes. We have to network, people. We have to get it. Stay within our own community. Network with each other. Continue the growth. Leave that family legacy. What are you leaving behind? What are you going to be known for? What are you doing right now to make a difference in your community and among your people? So I just want to say, without further ado, George Frazier is the best power network person I ever met. He knows how to do it. He's responsible for bringing the PNC network here. Again, it's going to be when? In July the 5th through the 8th. It's when the Power Network Conference here. I have to give it up to Peggy Morris once again for bringing it here. It's going to stay here. We're not going to let George move it around anymore. I think this is his home. So, George, we came up with a new name. The PNC is staying in the DMV. So, this is how we do it. All right, without further ado, George Frazier.
Do we have something that can hold this mic? Stand? I don't want to hold it.
Do we have a stand?
Hi, everybody. It's been a crazy day. Crazy day. Thank you. How was Emma? Was she any good? She's a pretender. She's awesome, really. I hate following my sister, and she's my older sister. You're not supposed to say that. What just attached to? All right, let me see if I can project. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Really? Really? All right, can you hear me back there, JR? Can you hear me? Good. Okay, now what am I supposed to talk about? Anybody have an agenda, subject? What would you like for me to talk about? Networking. Networking. All right. So all right. So I'm going to give you some choices, and I'll pivot from whatever your choice is. All right. So I have a new talk that I finished developing called "If God is so good, why are black people doing so bad?" My Lord. Oh my God. My Lord. That could be the subtitle. My Lord. I could talk about economics is the new black power. I could talk about the power and importance of the relationships in our lives. So that's three. That's enough. There are 5 or 6, but that's enough. So what do you feel like you want to hear? You want to hear about money? You want to hear about people? You want to hear about what? What would you like to hear about? What do you feel? All right, so you want me to do a hybrid. You want me to do a gumbo. Yeah, gumbo. A gumbo. There we go. So I got 15. I'm sorry. I got 15 minutes.
For a gumbo.
Let me put my glasses on. I just got a note here. So, all right, so the agenda says, that's the boss just came up. It says, to discuss how to create and leverage networking opportunities. Is that what you want to hear that? I've written a lot of books on that. We could talk about that. So I'm going to start out with that and a little bit differently, and I am going to give you a couple. I'm going to sort of mix it up. You can't hear me? Yeah, I probably need to get rid of it. Can you hear me now? Is that better? Okay.
Yes.
10 years ago, I wrote a book called Click. 10 Truths for Building Extraordinary Relationships. 10 Truths for Building Extraordinary Relationships. And in that book, at the beginning of the book, I proposed an algorithm, an equation, a bit of algebra. And I said that this is after, let's call it a spiritual download that I contemplated and thought about deeply. And I said I'd written a book on networking 22 years ago called Success Runs in Our Race, The Complete Guide to Effective Networking in the African American Community. It is a modern day classic. It is required reading in 57 historically black colleges. It is a book that started the networking conversation and ultimately started the networking movement in our culture. I was the guy that actually popularized the term, connect the dots. Intellectual capital. I defined what intellectual capital was. I fundamentally said in that book that black people have everything they need to succeed except each other. Jews have each other, East Indians have each other, Asians have each other, Arabs have each other. We don't have each other. So until we have each other, we will not get to the promised land. That's the final thing that God wants us to learn how to do. Proverbs 13:20, not 13:22. John 5:30. John 5:30. A direct quote from Jesus Christ. There are not that many direct quotes from Jesus Christ in the Bible. And Jesus said, I of my own self can do nothing. Now this is Jesus. Jesus couldn't get it done on his own by himself in a vacuum. So what's up with you? Why would you think you could do anything significant, anything worth talking about on your own by yourself in a vacuum? It's not possible. I express that in no uncertain terms, in a granular kind of way, in Success Runs in Our Race. With interesting stories. And I proclaimed that we are not where we are supposed to be, not only because we are a disconnected people. There's nothing wrong with dispersion. I live in Cleveland, my sister lives in Charlotte, you live here in the greater Maryland area. That's dispersion. We have relatives and family members in the Caribbean, in South America, in Africa. That's dispersion. There's nothing wrong with dispersion, but we must not be disconnected. We are a disconnected people. We must fix this because God has given us everything we need to succeed. We have it all except each other. We're a $1.3 trillion annual economy. If we were a nation, we'd be the 16th richest nation in the entire world, but our money goes in one direction, away from us, and we're some of America's most conspicuous consumers. We are brilliant people. I did an analysis on the intellectual capital base from just one generation, the baby boomer generation. We have 500 billion hours of formal education and professional training from just one generation alone. That would mean that our collective intellectual capital base from one generation alone, baby boomers only, rated at $10 an hour, try to get an education or professional training at $10 an hour, would mean that our collective intellectual capital base is worth in excess of $5 trillion. So we have brain power. And an interesting statistic that we never talk about in Black America, 60% of the black workforce in our country, over 9 million of us, or nearly 9 million of us, are in executive, managerial, supervisory, professional specialty, vocational, technical, administrative, sales, and business ownership positions. That is an army of potential role models and mentors to help those who are stuck in the cycle of poverty. In fact, there is no army in the entire world larger than the army of black people that have succeeded in this country. So make no mistake about it, success runs in our race. We are an awesome and powerful people. But if we have either forgotten it or we never knew. Recently returning from Egypt, for those of you who follow me on social media, that's one for the ages. Must be on your bucket list. As Jewish children are ultimately required to go to Israel to learn their history and their culture and to locate themselves in their history and their culture, our children must be required to go to Egypt, not just Africa. Now, I've been to Africa 17 times. All right, South Africa, Central Africa, West Africa, East Africa. Marvelous. But sub-Saharan Africa, you are only able to locate your modern negative history. Your history 400 years ago, from enslavement to now. That's the history, that's where you can locate your modern negative history. But that's really not our history. That's an aberration. That's a bump. When you go to Egypt, you will locate our real history. 4,000 years before Christ. And when you walk through the Valley of the Kings and you go into the tombs of the Valley of the Kings, and the rooms this size, and on all the walls are carved hieroglyphics and paintings of people with big thick noses and big thick lips and blue-black, you will understand how awesome you are. That we were building pyramids and solving complex engineering problems when other cultures were living in caves eating each other. 4,000 years before Christ. And when you stand in front of a pyramid, as opposed to seeing one on TV or in a magazine, and you look up at this thing, and made of 1,000,000 stones of 2,000 pounds each, and you wonder, and even the greatest engineers to this day wonder how a 2,000-pound stone was lifted 500 feet in the air without a crane. They still can't figure it out. And when you understand that we are the mothers and fathers of civilization, and that's not hype, that's science. God made black people first. That's science. My good Jewish friends say to me so often, you know, Dr. Fraser, we are the chosen one. I said, well, that's wonderful. But we were the first one. And you are of our loins. You can say what you want, but your great-great-great-great-grandmama was an African. And when you immerse yourself in that kind of thing, it comes clear to you why white folks never wanted us to know this. Oh, no. To manage and to control a number of people that is a greater number than you, you must eradicate those kinds of memories and those kinds of thoughts. So they were brilliant. They were absolutely right. If you saw what I saw, if you knew what I knew, if you read what I read, if you witnessed what I witnessed, you would be one arrogant Negro. You would. You'd be all that in a bag of chips. And you know, we see it every now and then. Our ability to excel when the playing field is level and the rules are clear. Not only can we compete, we will compete. We will dominate. We will change the game on your ass in a New York minute. We'll change the game. We'll do stuff you never even thought about. And you say, oh, that's attributed to your athletic prowess. BS. Anybody will tell you that at the highest levels of any kind of sports or entertainment, that's a mind thing. Play golf and don't use your mind. And we dominated golf. Right? Dominated. I mean, killed it. They had to change the rules. They had to change the rules for basketball, change the rules for football, right? Change the rules for music. We are an awesome and powerful people, but too many of us have forgotten this. That we are the children of the slaves that would not die, that we have the genetic encoding of the great kings and queens of Africa, that we're building pyramids and solving complex engineering problems when other cultures are living in huts. So if everything happens for a reason, in spite of the fact that America kept its foot on our throat for 350 years, in spite of the fact, we overcame that and we rose like the phoenix. So if everything happens for a reason, and it does, and serves us in some special way, and we will never understand that reason looking forward, and we will only understand that reason looking backwards, if in fact that is the truth, maybe we were brought here, and maybe we were not sent here. Or maybe we were sent here and not brought here. I believe, my personal belief, you can pick one, that we were sent here and not brought here. Why? Do you believe that God would put his weakest people here to do his toughest job? How could an American people who could morally, spiritually, biblically, and legally justify the kidnapping and raping and pillaging of another two people? Natives already in America and Africans brought to America. How could those people have any moral or spiritual grounding? And perhaps had God not sent Africans to America, America might have self-destructed by now. That's how crazy those white folks were. We freed ourselves, you got to remember this now, we freed ourselves without guns or money. We didn't have the guns and we didn't have the money. How do you think a people can free themselves without guns or money? Why could a people free themselves without guns or money? It's a very simple answer. It's a rhetorical question. We were right, and they were wrong. How do you achieve civil rights, voting rights, and public access? It took us 100 years. 5 generations. But we achieved civil rights, voting rights, and public access without guns. We didn't kill anybody. Or money. Why were we able to do that? Because we were right. And they were wrong. What am I saying to you? Whenever you're operating out of goodness and righteousness, you will always win. You just must chart a good and righteous course. You must stay that course, and then all that is due you will come. We got it like that. We're a model for that kind of persistence and insistence. But then something has gone wrong. We sort of lost it. If Dr. King would have come back here today, nearly 50 years after his death, he would pimp slap black people. Really. He would say to black people, is this what I took a bullet for? We're at the bottom of every single statistic that matters in America. For the 45th year in a row, African American children are at the bottom of the SAT scores. For the 45th year in a row. Asians are now at the top. They have replaced white folk. I don't want to get into the economic statistics. You know what they are. Interesting article on the front page of USA Today last year, below the fold, thank God. It was about black baby boomers and their money. So that African American baby boomers will be the first generation of Africans in America to raise another generation of Africans in America that will not do better than them. So in the 400-year history of our people, we are the only generation of Africans in this country to raise another generation that will be worse off. We need our asses kicked. Our ancestors and forefathers must be rolling over in their grave. Count me out of that. I will not contribute to that egregious statistic, and neither must you. The Institute of Policy study came out with a very, very damning study, August of last year. I quote the end of the study. If nothing changes among African Americans, it will take them 228 years, if ever, to close the income and wealth gap between blacks and whites in this country. It will take Hispanics 89 years. So it will take us almost the amount of time it took us to free ourselves to close that gap. But it will take Hispanics less than half the time. Why is that? Why will it only take Hispanics 89 years, less than 4 generations, but take us 11 generations? 3 simple reasons. The foremost value in the Hispanic cultural system, family. Huge. Do you know what the number 1 problem in Black America is? I know what the number 2, and I'm addressing that. But here's the number 1 problem in Black America no one ever talks about, is the absence of the black man in the home. Do you know what impact that has had, domino effect that has had over 2 generations? The number 1 issue, the number 1 value in the Hispanic culture is family. Number 2, Hispanic people are tribal, hoarders, right? And they are about Hispanics. God bless them. Number 3, Hispanics are entrepreneurial. Now, they may be doing menial jobs, you know, grass cutting, whatever, you know, but they got their crew, they got their truck, right? Right? And boys, you can't get in it.
Right.
You will not be paid by them. So, you see why it will take them less than half the time. They think differently. They're programmed differently. We're programmed in a different kind of way. We are people that consume. We are the consumption class. They, our Asian brothers and sisters, our Arab brothers and sisters, our Jewish brothers and sisters, are the merchant class. They make stuff and sell stuff, and we buy stuff. And we have been aptly programmed to do this. And the A.C. Nielsen came out with a very revealing study last year on the not the African American, but the culturally specific viewing habits for television. And here's what it said: African Americans watch 72 hours of television a week. We watch 40% more television than any cultural group in this country. So if you're watching 72 hours of television a week, by the way, that's 10 hours a day, you're watching about 1,100 commercials a day, your mind has been programmed to buy. You are a consumption machine. You cannot even help it. It has been habitualized. But we are the consumption engine of this country. That must change in the 21st century. Now, what does all of this have to do with net? I just sort of wanted to give you let's call it a 30,000-foot view of our problem. But it really isn't a problem. I'm exaggerating a bit because I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a business person. And I don't really see it as a problem. I see it as a massive opportunity. Massive. The Wall Street Journal, in a 3-week-old article, said that financial illiteracy is an American problem. And we know that when white folks catch a cold, black people catch pneumonia. So if it's an American problem, it's 10 times the problem in the black community. All right? It's huge. Not only that, it has reached the problem, it has reached the addiction, disease stage. That we need to do something bold. We need to reprogram ourselves. That's why we must focus for the 21st and 22nd century on economics being the new black power. That must be the thing we must focus on for the next couple hundred years. This is easy to say, it's difficult to do. It will require an army of brothers and sisters, and we'll talk a lot more about this at the Power Networking Conference, who will commit themselves to financial literacy and the building of wealth for our children's children. Right now, we are at the bottom of the rung of the ladder as it relates to the intergenerational transfer of wealth. We will not be, we are not generating wealth that can be intergenerationally transferred. Which means, according to this article, at some juncture we will be relegated, black people in this country, be relegated to permanent second-class citizens. Why? Because in a market-based economy, in a democratic capitalist society, the only color that really matters is green. That's the only color that really matters in this country. I'm not saying it's right, I'm saying that's what it is. So until our pile of green is as big and as high and as deep and as wide and as leveraged and as invested as any other cultural group's pile of green, we will never be considered an equal at the table of democratic capitalism. We have to get our act together. So we have to do something bold. We have to think outside of the box. We have to think of this in the ways we recreated basketball with slam dunks and finger rolls and sky hooks. And we have it like that. We can. We have to connect the dots. This little chart, you've probably seen me show this many, many times. This little chart to me represents beautiful, educated, moneyed black people all over Prince George's County, all over America. It could represent black churches, it could represent black fraternities and sororities, you name it, it represents us. And what you will notice about these beautiful, educated, moneyed black people is that everybody is doing their own thing. Caught up in a Eurocentric value system of rugged individualism and survival of the fittest. That's a trick. That's a trick, brothers and sisters. It's called divide and conquer. There is no power here. This is where all the power is. Whether you're at the center of your own network, be it Asian, Jewish, white, Arab, right? Or part of someone else's network. In communities where people are connected, the schools work better, right? The crime rate is low. The growth rate is higher. This is where all the power is. This is a simple concept that we do not get yet. As I said earlier, this is the final thing that God wants us to learn how to do. It is time for us to connect the dots. We are disconnected from our history and our struggle. Most of us have forgotten. We are disconnected from our wealth and resources. Everybody has our money, but us. We are disconnected from those who are of like mind. We had a very rich and healthy conversation this morning at a breakfast about your crew. Introduce me to your 5 closest friends, and that will tell me who you are. As they know, as they go, you go. This is huge. I speak in schools all the time, and the brothers are always sitting on one side, the sisters are sitting on the other side. And I tell the brothers, I said, listen, if you're hanging out with brothers that are getting C's and D's, you're going to get C's and D's. Because there's a system for everything. There's a system to get a seat. You hanging out with brothers that are getting seats, all they know is the system for C. They don't know the system for A, so you need to hang out with brothers who are getting A's and follow their system. There's a system for everything. I said, if you're hanging out with brothers that are dropping out of high school, you're going to drop out of high school. If you're hanging out with brothers that are getting in trouble with the law, you're going to get in trouble with the law. Then I say to the sisters, if you're hanging out with sisters that are having babies before they get out of high school, you're going to have a baby. And if you're hanging out with hoes, you a hoe. Now, you may not be a hoe, but you hanging with hoes. So what am I to think about you? You must be a hoe. Introduce me to your 5 closest friends, and that will tell me who you are. Your relationships are everything. I know Mama used to tell us that all the time. So I'm telling you, I'm hoping you're spending as much time raising the friends of your children as you are raising your child. Because of the pressure on your child from their so-called friends will be far greater than any pressure you will ever be able to put on your child. Be careful who your child's friends are too. Let me say that a different way. This is an interesting scientific study that says it is better for a child to grow up in a great neighborhood with crazy parents than to grow up in a crazy neighborhood with excellent parents. What does that tell you? Your circle, your friends, the people who you are connected to, the people you are joined at the hip with. This is especially true in business. Most of us in here are engaged in some kind of business. So I can tell you unequivocally, having written 6 best-selling books around these subjects, that business is about relationships. Without relationships, you have no business. Without relationships, you have no business being in business. In fact, the business you're really in is the business of building relationships. That's the business you're in. So that's one little piece of advice. The other little piece of advice, stop blaming white folks for 98% of your problems when you're giving them 100% of your money. That's on you. We got to fix that. And no one's going to fix it for us but us. So tomorrow, you begin by checking your crew. Make a list, short list. Don't make it complicated. Of your 3 most important networks. First is your personal network. Who's in your personal network? This is your close circle of friends. These are the people that cheer you on, lift you up, right? And inspire you. Who are these people? Make a list of them. You've got to work on that network your entire life. Because stuff not right at home, we'll call that your network at home. Other stuff ain't working right. The second network you need to make a list of, and of course work on throughout your entire life, is your operational network. These are the people that help you to get specific tasks done in life. Whether it's the place where you're working in your business, volunteer in an organization. These people platoon in and out of your life, and they help you to get specific tasks done. Make a list of who currently is in your operational network that's powerful and positive, that may even be smarter than you. Let us pray that they are. And they add value to your life. And you add value to their life. Make a list of those. Who are they? You should know. Because I'm going to tell you, at some point in time, you're going to have to bless and release. You're going to have to thin out that list. We'll put a pin in that and pick up on that in a minute or so. And the final network that you're going to have to work on and you're going to have to develop, this may be the hardest, and that is your strategic network. Make a list of the people that are smarter than you, people who are dragging you into the 21st century kicking, screaming, and crying. Who are they? Because as you've heard It said, if you're the smartest person in your network, you're in the wrong damn network. Why? Because you can't grow. You can't grow. There's nobody reaching down, lifting up. How are you going to grow? You the smartest one in your network? No. So you need a strategic network. Who are the people that are in your strategic network that ultimately can mentor you, coach you, guide you? Make a list of those people. And how do they add value? And how do you add value to them? Why is this so critically important? Because adding value is, in fact, a critical component of the purpose of life. The purpose of life is very simple. Why? Because God doesn't make anything complicated. We make stuff complicated. God doesn't make it complicated because he needs for everybody to understand it. We make things complicated for a couple of reasons. One, the more complicated we make something, the more reasons we have for not doing it. One of the reasons we tend to make things complicated, I don't want to do it, I'm going to make it complicated. Second reason we tend to make things complicated is to control power. See, the more complicated I can make something, the less you know about it, the more control I have over you. 2008 credit default swaps that almost brought this country to its economic need. Only a handful of people understood what swatches and credit default swaps were. Tricky little system embedded into the financial mortgage system, right? Right, that almost brought this country to this need. Bunch of bogus bullshit. That's really what it was. Right? So I'm going to uncomplicate the purpose of life. That is to love, to give, to serve, and to add value to somebody or something every minute of every day. That's the only reason why you're here. There is no other reason for you to be sucking up this air. You are here, God put you here to love, to give, to serve, and to add the highest value every minute of every day. In other words, today you do your best, and tomorrow you do even better. That's called evolving. In my new speech that I'm finishing up on why do most people don't succeed? Because they do not evolve. They do not change. They're not committed to personal growth and development, lifelong learning, and constant, never-ending improvement. They aren't growing. I'm 72. I read 100 books a year. I have an insatiable appetite for knowledge. And I'm at the top of my game. I'm one of the best at doing this. And I'm still learning. And when you're learning and when you're growing, you are actually fulfilling God's purpose for you. There's an old saying that work expands the time allotted. You've heard that song, the saying? Work expands to the time allotted. In other words, if someone gives you a week to do something, it will take you a week to do it. They can give you that same project and say, I'm only giving you 3 days. It will take only 3 days. Work expands to the time allotted. I deeply believe from a spiritual perspective that when you are on God's purpose, when you are doing God's work, not only is it that thing that gives you the greatest fulfillment, the greatest joy, and the greatest satisfaction, when you are doing God's work, that equation reverses. Time expands to the work allotted. God will give you more time.
Yes.
Not only that, when God decides to give you the time, God will decide and give you the resources and the energy. See, this is all about energy. You see, I could not stand up here. My sister could not stand up here at our age, right? And express to you what we know and what we feel without energy. Because what you're really resonating with is our conviction, our energy. And it's really not ours, it's God. That's right. We're just vessels. We're just instruments. We're just tools. That's all we are. I said I wrote 6 books. I didn't really write them. Those are downloads.
Amen.
I ain't that smart. Those are downloads. God happened to pick me for whatever reason, something I demonstrated, and something that I said perhaps, or some continuity in my life, but he picked me for the download. And then he gave me the time and the energy to infect, affect, and effect his people. So when you are on purpose, you are coalescing with the right people. They're pouring into you, you're pouring into them. You're adding value, they're adding value. You're giving and serving and loving. It doesn't get any better. Let me say this differently. And this is going to sound trite, but it's true. Because once you learn this lesson, and it's been said a million times, you will learn the key to cultivating, nurturing, and building the right kind of relationships. It's a simple lesson. This is all about love. And you can't start it like a car, and you can't stop it with a gun. That every single thing we do is so that somebody will love us. The clothes we wear, the cars we buy, the successes that we achieve is so that somebody will love us. That we have an insatiable appetite to be loved. My sister could tell me today 10 times that she loves me. I would wallow in the wonderfulness of that, and I would need for her to say that to me again tomorrow. And it is the absence of love, however it is absent in your life, that causes all of this craziness and these problems. You can trace it back to love. So now once you understand that, you understand the primary role that you have in or a way in cultivating, nurturing, and building relationships. So I hope that I have completed my task with you this afternoon, which is to educate, to inspire, and to empower. I hope that you will protect and build assets, human resource assets, financial assets that will serve you and your children and our people in ways that we have not thought about. I hope you join us as we develop this army of brothers and sisters committed to financial freedom and ultimately financial literacy and ultimately the intergenerational transfer of wealth. There are any number of ways you can join this army. I encourage you. Did everybody get a Power Network Conference flyer? Do you have a Power Network Conference flyer? Does everybody have one? If you don't have one of these flyers, please raise your hand. Show them the flyer. Everybody have one? John, where's John? John, working always. We have to praise God for John. The work that he is doing. Both him and his wife, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. We thank you for John for making the investment, because it was John's investment first that got us all here. We would like for you to join us. You have no excuse. We have moved this conference from Dallas, Texas to Prince George's County. Peggy Morris, who came to the first conference, and out of the first conference, Power Network Conference, which was in Cleveland 16 years ago, She founded the Sisters for Sisters Network and has blossomed beautifully at the Sisters. Much good has come. Millions and millions of dollars have traded hands. All kinds of connections are being made. It's a place where you come to meet powerful people. If, in fact, you want to meet important people, you have to be where important people are, because they're not coming to you. You have to go to them. Then sit at the feet of masters. Learn from them. Figure out how to serve them. Understand the first and foremost, and we emphasize this at the Power Network Conference every year. It's our 16th year. We've been selected by Forbes magazine, the capitalist tool, that's what they call themselves, as one of the top 5 conferences in America not to be missed. Not one of the top 5 black conferences. One of the top 5 conferences of all conferences in America. That's quite an accolade. Now, why is that so impressive to me as a black man? And should be impressive to you as black people. Because white people said it. Now, I could have said it. Some other black organization could have said it. But we knew that if white people said it, y'all gonna believe that. We're really all that in a bag of chips. It's a place that you need to be. We've moved it from Dallas to here, right on the harbor. Gaylord Hotel, one of the most beautiful, glamorous, expensive hotels on the planet, except we got these great prices, right? It's an unusual conference. There is no conference in Black America quite like this. It's the only conference that I know of that starts at 7 in the morning, ends at 11 o'clock. There are no breaks. No breaks. You get no breaks. There are no 15-minute breaks. We have learned our lessons by allowing black people to go to the bathroom. We don't do that anymore. You want to go to the bathroom and you know, miss Les Brown or miss Randall Pinkett or miss one of the, you know, the gurus, and that's on you. Right? When you need to use your cell phone, go outside, use the cell phone. So it's intense. We have night classes. They're called after dark programs. Because we know there's some black people that like to sleep in. But they don't want to miss the information. So they can come to night classes that start at 9 o'clock and end at 11 o'clock, and you can't get in them there. So come to the conference. You have no excuse. You have no travel expenses. You have no hotel fees. So you happen to be in the most unique position to get it cheaper than anybody. So I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. The offer is good for 1 hour. Now, after 1 hour, don't call me. I will deny I even made the offer. I will not even tell people I was here. I don't know what you're talking about. In fact, I'm not even George Fraser. A lot of people call me that. They think I'm that. Right? Okay, I'm going to finish it. So this is the offer. So I'm going to give you what I call a full conference package. It's a $1,600. It includes a full registration for you, a full registration for a college-age student, 17 to 25. We believe that there should not be a black conference in America in the 21st century that should not be made available free of charge to our young people. But they must be mentored and they must be assisted with an adult. That's our system. Young people have never had to pay to come to our conference. So you get that. You can bring a young person, 17 to 25. That's a scholarship. It's included in that. You get the free After Dark program. You get the free Jump Start program or bonus day. That's Wednesday. That's Wednesday. The conference officially starts on a Thursday. It's July 5th through the 8th. The flyer may say 6th through the 8th, but this is the bonus day. You're going to get that package. That's normally $279 by itself. So that's a $1,600 package, $1,600. If you add it all up, we're going to take $1,200 off of that. And we're going to give you that entire package for $399. $399. So that is cheaper than it costs us to feed you at the very expensive Gaylord Hotel. There's a dinner and there's a lunch and yada yada yada. So $399. So if you're interested, all you have to do is turn it over, fill out the back, and write your credit card information in, fill out the back, and give it to me before my sister and I leave here. Okay? And join us at the conference. Again, you have no excuse. No excuse. All right, I'm finished. Take the hand of the person of the left, on the left and the right, and I'm going to close with our little prayer. Close with prayer. This is the same prayer we close the PowerNet. Yeah, you can stand. That's a good thing. This is the prayer we have been closing the Power Networking Conference for 16 years. This is our closing prayer. These are the final words you will have when you go off and go back to home, to your home, wherever you may live. May we always remember those who have gone before us. May we be inspired by their vision and their valor. May their lives continually remind us that service is more important than success, that people are more important than possessions, that principle is more important than power. May whatever we do be shaped and molded by honesty, excellence, and commitment. May our children and our children's children carry forth with pride the nobility of the histories that are represented here and the various traditions that are represented in this room. To the Creator of all of us, by whatever name we may refer to that Creator, we dedicate our lives to make our world better and more beautiful. Can I get an amen? Amen. God bless you. Thank you very much.
All right. Yes, this is our Q&A section now.
Great.
We'll have you all to sit up front. John, Emma, Jane, son.
Q&A, right?
Thank you.
All right, first question, go to John. John, as the owner of Prestige Care with the nursing agency, why was it important to you not only to be in nursing care, but become the businessman and reach out to your community and just be effective in your leadership skills just as well as your ownership skills?
That's a good question. That is very important to me because before you can do something, you have to see why you're building what you're building and why you're doing what you do. And if you do not have the leadership skill, you cannot do anything because people see what other people do. So in our organization, I lead an example for all our staff, our team. And based on my example, and they follow through. True story. 2 years ago, December 21st, 2015, I received a call at 11:51 p.m. that one of our patients is in crisis on Connecticut Avenue. I drove and rushed over there to see that patient. She was actually in the bathroom by herself, restless. What saved her was a lifeline right on her chest. She pushed that, they called 911. As soon as they called 911, it triggered our call people who went there. I got the call, I rushed there, we were able to actually rescue this person. So when it comes to patient care, when it comes to caring for people, so I take on the leadership in terms of making sure that when it comes to quality, caring for people, there's no gray zone, there's no excuses. So because of that, all our staff know that it's important for me to take leadership in that, and they followed my example because they know that there's no excuses, the reason why we cannot provide a good care, and that has actually helped us as a business a company to escalate and increase our business because people see that we know what we do and we believe what we do.
Yes. All right, Emma, next question. If we know your story, we often hear you talk about being one of the siblings out of 11 children, and that you all was in foster care system. And we all know that you tell your story how the foster care system was very challenging. So going through that, how were you able to overcome that and be the person that you are today?
I certainly didn't have a plan as a child like I would have now. But I just had a determination. If you enter this world as we did, and beginning at 3, we were in foster homes. Oh, can you hear me? And you were in foster homes. You learn early to survive. You don't even develop the skills of a child, you develop the skills of survival. And to put it in more graphic terms, you become like an animal. Not that you crawl around on the ground, but you begin to know that you are in danger. And all of your instincts that should not be in operation at that young age come to save you. That's how we survived. That's the benefit. That was the asset. The negative part of that you have to work out once you're older, is all of those instincts that were prematurely introduced into your psyche that become a part of your high wiring, your hard wiring, and now you're stuck with it. So you see the world as a fearful place because you never had a chance to join it or see it as a place in which you could really have normalcy. So you have to deal with what kept you will now can destroy you. So it's a two-edged sword, but it was simply that we had to. We had the DNA and we just did it. I take no credit, except for later.
All right. Yes, it was. It was an awesome answer. George, my question to you is, we look at your resume, we know so much about you. You've been featured in over 7 national magazines. You have over 350 awards. You helped charter 2 charter schools. You have founded 2 charter schools. You are the president and CEO of PowerNet Conference. You often talk about constantly reinventing yourself. So at 72, and you love telling your age and you look fine at it. How do you constantly keep reinventing yourself, or how is it possible for someone in leadership? That's very important to know how to keep yourself fresh and cutting edge. And at 72, you still got it. Yeah. So what is the secret, George? Tell us.
Yeah. Well, you said the word. It's vision. John has vision. Emma has vision. Many of you have a vision. It might be more micro than macro. It's an insular vision, but it's a vision. Emma mentioned DNA. It's a constant debate between nature and nurture. We were in foster care with a younger brother, Joseph. So we were nurtured the same way. And Joseph ended up getting killed in a drug deal that went bad. Emma and I excelled, and we've had this discussion, hours of this discussion. It ended up for us being DNA. Some of it was DNA, certainly. But vision. So why God anointed me with that? I don't know. A visionary leader. I got to sneeze. I normally sneeze 3 times. Anybody like that? Yes. I sneeze 3 times. Anyway, a visionary leader has the ability to see where people need to be, but are not there yet, and the capacity to take them there. Right? That's a visionary leader. The ability to see where people need to be, but are not there yet,
and then he or she has the capacity to take them there. So for many years, my sister told me this many years, I've been way, way, way ahead of the curve, way ahead of my time. I don't know where that came from. You know, I think I addressed it a little bit around writing books. Writing books are downloads from something greater than you, right? And so, and why you are uniquely appointed to that download, or that assignment, or that vision, is one of the great mysteries of life. It really is one of the great mysteries of life. But you know that you will get an appointment if you listen. So let me say, I said it earlier, maybe it went past your head. God is constantly talking to us, telling us exactly what to do. He would not put you here without purpose, right? And then give you instruction and resources to do it. So he is constantly talking to us, telling us exactly what to do, except most people choose not to listen because it requires change, it requires evolving, right? It requires work. It's just easier sitting on a couch drinking a beer, watching television, right? So I listened. And I listened, and I had a very incrementalist approach to success in life. Did it inch by inch is a cinch, by the yard is hard. Take it one day at a time. First things first, second things never. Do the first thing, then the second thing becomes the first thing. And I've been, that was sort of a habitual loop going on in my mind throughout my entire life. And then eventually, I landed at the top. You too can do the same thing. Yeah.
Great answer. All right, coming back to you, John. And if we can try to keep our answers to a minute before we can take audience questions after this. John, we know that you specialize with your health care, that you specialize in home care. And here in Prince George's County, do you know there's not only no in-house health care for mental health, and also to be a caregiver is a very important job. And sometimes our family, we feel that if we have to put our loved ones into a facility, that we're neglecting them. So we are thankful to your agencies and agencies like you that can come in the house and help us still care for our loved ones. So why at Prestige Healthcare that was important to you to give the best in-house care there is? And what is one thing that you can tell us that we should know when it comes to picking a provider to come into the house to care for our loved ones?
That's the multiple questions.
Yes, it is. I'm trying to get it all in.
So that's a multiple question. You know, as people always say, they say, home is where the heart is. Everybody's heart is at home. So nobody wants to grow up one day and say, oh my goodness, I wish I could live the rest of my life or the last minute of my life in nursing home or hospital. Nobody will say that. But you want to live your life or the last minute of your life with your loved ones at your own home, where you can be comfortable, where you can feel safe, and where you can feel loved. And that is pretty much what gets us to advocate for people living independently at their own home. And one other tip I can just want to mention that briefly, asking about tips, is everyone here, as I mentioned earlier when we started, we all feel that we're strong, we all feel that we're powerful, we all feel that we have everything that we need. But one thing that is inevitable is that we're going to grow old. We're not going to get younger anymore. We're going to get older and older, and our strength is going to get weaker and weaker. But the question is that, what are you doing now to prepare for that time? What are you doing now to get yourself ready to a time when you cannot help yourself, when you cannot even get up on the bed, when you cannot even get up and walk around and care for yourself the way you used to care for yourself in the past? So the key is preparation. Yeah, you can say, yeah, I got Medicare and I got 401k. Yeah, it's great, but how far can you go in caring for yourself? in caring for you, how far can you go? To plan for the future, you have to start today. And I'm going to write what you need, and then have an assessment that what I have in the bank now, if I have to live independently and care for myself, how far can you take me? Can you take care of me and let me live at my own home? So everybody here in the audience, I challenge everyone to do your own self-inventory. If you think you have 401k, it's great, but think about having a long-term care insurance that can actually help you when that need comes, then you're ready, prepare for that. So that's one tip we suggest that everyone should invest on, to think about getting a long-term care insurance or some kind of investment that you can start investing so that when that time comes, you don't have to depend on Medicare or Medicaid or any government program to care for you because you are better equipped. Yet it's true, it said that money is not the solution to everything. But when you have money, it gives you options. Okay? When you have money, you get options. But if you get money, I'm sorry, you get no options. But when you get to that hospital or where, the first thing they're going to ask you, what kind of insurance you got? And if you don't have any good insurance, you'll be surprised where you're going to be at. So that's my short answer. Let me know.
I appreciate that short answer. And if we can just keep it a little longer. Yes, Emma, the next question is to Emma. We are in the time right now that they say this is women of democracy. So what does that mean to you? And how can you keep us as women influenced and feel that we are still adding? When women are in leadership, we must still lead, but also still support our men and let them know that they are the driven force, what makes it go round. But the women in democracy are now here. So how do you feel about that?
Okay, I have to speak from my experience. For all of you that are younger than my shoes, you'll get this at some point. So I came along when the woman stayed at home, the husband went to work, regardless of what he earned. You took care of the children. You went to church on Sunday. You prayed from Monday to Saturday for your family. You prepared every meal and everybody sat at the table and ate dinner. That was my cultural orientation to the world, even in the foster home, because even the homes are not absent from the larger culture. So that's what they did. Even though we were eating different food than them, we were still all eating at the same time. So I've lived long enough to see the transition. I absolutely understand it because I have the grounded perspective. I've seen the change. I was here when the word feminism was invented, when women talked about independence. But before that, some of you won't raise your hand because you don't want anybody to know that you're a baby boomer. There was a commercial that came on television where the woman said, I can do it all. I can make the bacon, I can fry it in the pan, I can go to work, and I can please my man. Absolutely. So that was the first image. I'm a woman. So the image was, if you want to really be independent, you still have to fulfill all of those jobs, but you're going to do it with a twist and a twang. Okay? Then women said, oh, something ain't work about that, because that puts me on 24-hour duty, and that's not possible. So now I've seen the change. This is the change. We don't cook. Negro, there's called Bojangles, Wendy's, Popeyes. It's fast food, fast life, get away. That's my version of being a wife. Okay? I am saying this. You better take something from the past that was good. You better take something from the future that looks promising. But for today, you better meld those two things together. I'm telling you, I know young women who say, oh, I don't cook and I never intend to. And they think that that is an independent stand that they're going to take as young women and they're going to be wise on their terms. I'm here to tell you, ain't happening. It's not going to happen because there is a structure. There's a divine structure. It begins in the kitchen. You may work on it in the bedroom. But if you don't have those two things connected together, you will be divorced. No, I'm serious. Because we don't want the role of the man to change. That man better be the breadwinner. He better bring that money home. He better put the garbage out. We don't want their role to change, but we're rolling over on them like tumbleweed in the desert. And they don't know what to expect of a woman. And when a man doesn't know what to expect of his main squeeze, then he's got other squeezes. You hear me? Somebody's making him a hot meal. You better go ahead. While you a hot mess. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I don't know how you gonna follow that one up, George, but we gonna try.
Wow.
George, you've been doing the Power Network conference for 15 or plus years now.
I just got to say this. Because I know George's business. You understand? Because I'm his sister. George got a beautiful wife at home. She got every name pocketbook you can have. She's got every kind of jewel. Her towels look like they were made by 500 people who worked all night on the Egyptian cotton. But let me tell you about Jean very briefly. The woman cooks like a queen, keeps a house like 500 housekeeping organizations. And when George comes in the door, because I've been there and I've been minding their business when I spend the night. George comes in the door, hi honey, now she doesn't unpack his bag, he does all that. He sits down, and this intelligent woman who had a high-paying job, when George comes in the door, he the man. That's right. He the man. But I'm going to tell you what he does for her. She has what she wants, what she needs. They play and they act in the role that God intended. He's the man. He's going to pay those bills. And she's going to make that meal because they got a deal. You operate like God intended, and I'll be what God wanted. But if you got a man that acted like you act, you don't have a man. You just have possibly he can.
Yes, thank you. George, well, actually would bring me to my question, so.
Oh, God.
Yes, George, we have to get this question in while we're still alive. George, I was going to say, being the CEO, president of Power Network and our conference, and also being married for 44 years. Wow. Yes, 2 children and 2 grandkids. How do you bring that balance in both sides of relationships? Because we know relationships are important on the business side and the personal side. Yeah. So how do you bring that balance for someone who's do so much as George, and she just said you always traveling, always everywhere, but George always know how to bring balance. So what is the key for you in the balance? Got you again. You told me I interviewed like Oprah. Did I just get you? Yeah, me.
Well, you know, the real question is, how do you stay married to the same sister for 45 years? I mean, you know, that's A, God, B, balance. There's no question about that. And you know, my sister probably said it better than I could have said it. But you know, my little secret to stay married, to stay in partnership with a very smart black woman. It's a one-word answer. It's amnesia. Amnesia. Nora Jean is going to do some stupid crap in 45 years, and so is her husband. Going to do some stupid stuff. And so we discuss those stupid things. We reach a middle ground. We bless it and release it. And then we go on about building our family, staying together, supporting our children and grandchildren, supporting our community. So, so that's one. So let me take it a little bit deeper. And so tell you a secret, an agreement that Nora Jean and I May, when we first got married. When I met Jean, she was in Cincinnati, and I was living in Cleveland, and I was, let's say, popular. Very high profile. The month I met her was in December. Ebony magazine had come out on the newsstands that particular month, and I was one of those. Remember how Ebony used to do Bachelors of the Year? I was in the magazine. Also, I had a very, very beautiful penthouse apartment in a very shishi-poo-poo neighborhood in Cleveland, very laid out, about 2,500 square feet. And our local newspaper, the Plain Dealer, had done a full-page spread on my apartment. And the Plain Dealer, of course, shows up in Cincinnati, so that came out the same weekend that I met Jean. So Jean was a little bit suspicious, like, you know, who is this Lothario? Who is this, you know, what? And so, anyway, we got past that, and we decided to get married. So we dated. It was a long-distance affair. I was in Cleveland, she was in Cincinnati. And so we decided, okay, this is good. Chemistry, fit, timing. Chemistry, fit, timing. We were both in our late 20s. And that was late back then. I mean,
Yes.
that was late. You know, our parents got married in their early teens. We got married in our young 20s, right? So it was late for us. So when I proposed, I've never told this story anyway. When I proposed to Jean,
You can tell it in 1 minute?
I can tell it in 1 minute. I'll close it in 1 minute. I said, let's make a deal. I said, would you like to fulfill our marriage vows? And she said, yes. To death do us part. She said, yeah. That's the purpose of getting married. I said, okay. Let's make one agreement. Simple agreement. Don't look, and you won't find. Because even if there's nothing to find, and you begin looking, you'll create something. So she thought for a minute, and she said, okay. I said, now, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I won't look, right? It's about trust. I'll be back. I'll be home. I travel, but I'll be back. It's about trust. And here we are 45 years later. And she has never violated that in 45 years. And I'm still here. Right?
All right, we will be taking more questions, audience questions, but for eLife Media family, we thank you for tuning in, and we enjoyed you all. Please stay tuned. We will have this link on YouTube within the next 24 hours. You'll be able to catch it and pass it out to your family. So again, Reggie at eLife Media and Peggy, we are part of eLife Media family. Yep. Yes. Oh, we had your friends and family tuning in. Thank you very much. We out.